What if I told you that there is secret documents hidden in the Vatican that could completely rewrite the history of humanity? For centuries, this hidden library stored information that were never revealed to the public, and those who tried to get close were silenced. But why? What is in these files that the Church keeps under lock and key? The Vatican is one of the most mysterious places on the planet. Between its walls are ancient texts, apocryphal gospels, prohibited manuscripts, and historical records that were never released to humanity. Some theories say that inside there are evidence of events that were manipulated, secrets about religious figures, and even connections with lost civilizations. Is there something that can challenge everything we believe about the faith, history, and power of the Church? But don't think that these mysteries are just theories. There are reports of people trying to access these files and simply disappearing. Journalists, researchers, and even former members of the Church who dared to question these secrets were persecuted or silenced. What could be so dangerous that they needed to hide it from the world? Imagine that you have the opportunity to walk through the doors of one of the libraries most restricted and enigmatic in the world. What would you expect to find? Burned books, forgotten manuscripts, or perhaps even evidence of something humanity was never supposed to know. There are documents that talk about hidden prophecies, secret messages and events that could change the future of humanity. And now, I ask you, if these secrets came to light, what would happen? Do you believe there is something hidden in the Vatican that could shake the faith of millions? Write in the comments, because what we are going to reveal now could be more shocking than you imagine. And faced with so many mysteries hidden within the Vatican, an inevitable question arises. If these secrets were revealed, would people's faith remain the same? While many look to forbidden texts for answers, there is one thing that has never been censored: the power of prayer. Regardless of what is hidden between these walls, faith and spirituality are forces that no one can silence. Therefore, I want to invite you to do something very special now. Leave your prayer request in the comments. Be it for yourself, for a loved one, for something that is in your heart. Let's pray together, because the true light always shines, regardless of the hidden secrets. If you believe that the truth must be revealed, already leave a like in this video and subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about the Vatican's greatest mysteries, banned books and revelations that few have the courage to approach. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, because what comes next could change everything you've ever heard about church history. And now, get ready, because we're about to dive even deeper into Vatican's secret archives. What's really hidden? Inside, the truth will finally be revealed. What is really hidden behind the closed doors of Vatican's secret library? We are talking about one of the most inaccessible and mysterious places in the world, an underground archive that stretches for more than 85 kilometers, full of documents that never went public. These are records so old and confidential that only an extremely limited number of people are allowed to access them. But why? What is so dangerous about these books that needs to be kept? Secret centuries ago, the Church has always had absolute control over the historical and religious narrative. Many of the texts we know today have gone through a rigorous selection process, while others were simply erased, prohibited, or hidden. Within the shelves of this hidden library, there are records that go back to millennia ago, written by hands that saw and lived through events that could completely change our understanding of the history of faith and humanity. Imagine a book capable of tell the true origin of the Church. No filters, no edits, no omissions, or manuscripts that reveal supernatural events, divine appearances, or even encounters that challenge everything we know about spirituality. What if there were hidden prophecies, written by saints or popes, that were never revealed because their content was simply too disturbing? The Vatican keeps these documents protected for reasons that will never be officially confirmed. But what is already known is that within these walls there are letters from popes and world leaders, secret political treaties, and, possibly, evidence of historical manipulations that would redefine our perception of religious and secular power. There are reports that indicate that even evidence regarding the true identity of certain biblical figures may be buried in these files. Many believe that the Church hides books that were removed from the Bible because they are considered dangerous. The Gospel of Judas, for example, brings a completely different version of Christ's betrayal, suggesting that Judas was not a traitor, but rather a disciple who followed divine orders. If this information had been widely disseminated over the centuries, would Christianity have taken the same path? Another controversial document that may be hidden inside the Vatican's secret library is the Book of Enoch, which describes the existence of vigilantes, a race of fallen angels who came to earth and shared forbidden knowledge with humans. This text was excluded from the traditional Bible, but is mentioned in some biblical passages. What does this book reveal that is so impactful that it has been erased from official records? What if I told you that, in addition to religious documents, there are also records about ancient technology and unexplained events? Some scholars believe that the Church may have information about advanced civilizations that existed before documented history, knowledge about medicine, astronomy, and even quantum physics that were deliberately kept hidden. If this kind of information were revealed, would the world be the same? The rumors about the Vatican's secret library don't stop there. There are those who believe that inside these shelves there is a document that proves the existence of extraterrestrial life. Some theorists suggest that the Church has always known about the possibility of other intelligent life forms, and that there is evidence of contacts occurring throughout history. This would explain why the Vatican has one of the largest astronomical observatories in the world, located in Arizona, in the United States. What are they seeking in the heavens? What do they know that we don't know? Now think about this. If you had the opportunity to enter this library and open any book, which document would you choose? Would you look for the banned books that were removed from the Bible, as hidden prophecies that talk about the end times, or the secret records that can change our view of faith and spirituality? Comment below. I want to find out the truth. And tell me which of these secrets intrigue you the most. And if all this wasn't enough, there is something even more sinister. Reports of people who tried to get too close to these files and simply disappeared. Yes, there are stories of researchers, priests, and even journalists who claim to have evidence of explosive documents, but before they could release anything, were silenced, threatened, or met a mysterious end. Unexplained accidents, sudden disappearances, and suspicious deaths accompany those who dare delve too deeply into these secrets. And now I ask, what is really hidden within the walls of the Vatican? What is the Church so afraid of coming to light? If a single document were revealed, would the world ever be the same? Or is this all just a conspiracy theory? Write in the comments, the Vatican is hiding something, if you believe there are deep secrets kept from public knowledge. And if you want to continue this investigation with me, now leave a like. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because in the next video, we're going to dive even deeper and reveal information that can shock the whole world. What if everything we were taught about the history of Christianity was incomplete? What if hidden documents, hidden for centuries within the Vatican's secret library, contained truths that could shake the foundations of the Church and rewrite the past? Among these forbidden texts, there are records so enigmatic that they still arouse the interest of scholars and theorists to this day. But why does this information remain inaccessible? What is so disturbing about these pages that they should be kept from public knowledge? Among the most intriguing documents is the Lost Gospel of Judas, a manuscript that challenges everything we know about the betrayal of Jesus Christ. Unlike the traditional version, where Judas Iscariot is the great traitor, this gospel suggests that he was, in fact, the most faithful disciple, chosen by Jesus to fulfill a greater plan. If this view had been accepted over the centuries, how would it have changed the way we view the Christian faith? How would the Church justify an entire tradition built on the image of Judas as the great villain? Perhaps this is exactly why this gospel has remained hidden for centuries. Another text that raises major questions is the Book of Enoch, one of the most enigmatic manuscripts ever found. This book, which was excluded from the official Bible, describes in detail the existence of vigilantes, angels who came to earth and taught forbidden knowledge to humanity. According to this account, these fallen angels would have shared secrets about astronomy, metallurgy, magic, and even genetics, altering the course of human history. But if this narrative is true, what does the Church fear we will discover? Were the fallen angels just mythological figures? Or could they have been something more? Could they be spiritual entities, interdimensional beings, or even evidence of contact with unknown civilizations? The answer may be hidden within 85 kilometers of secret Vatican archives, and we cannot ignore the secret letters exchanged between popes and world leaders. These documents, which were never made public, could reveal political agreements, manipulations, and strategies that directly influenced the course of history. The Vatican has always played a strategic behind-the-scenes role in global power, maintaining close relationships with kings, emperors, and more recently, modern governments. What was actually discussed in these closed-door meetings? Are there documents that prove the influence of the Church on historical events that changed the destiny of entire nations? Now imagine that among these hidden files, there were concrete evidence of supernatural events, Marian apparitions, undocumented miracles, or even records about prophecies related to the end of times. And if, inside those shelves, there were a manuscript written by someone who had access to detailed insight into Revelation, but which was forbidden to be revealed to the world, why are some prophecies publicized while others remain under strict secrecy? Are church leaders trying to protect humanity from disturbing truths, or would it just be a matter of maintaining power and control over people's faith? In addition to religious texts, some researchers believe that the Vatican may be hiding documents about historical events that have been rewritten or censored. There are theories that suggest that stories about advanced civilizations, contacts with superior intelligences, and even forgotten technologies may be hidden on these shelves. In 2012, a group of researchers attempted to gain access to some Vatican archives on the Middle Ages and discovered that certain records simply no longer existed. But did they really disappear, or were they locked away in an even more restricted part of the library, accessible only to a select group of people? And what about the Vatican's connections with secret societies? There are indications that within these archives, there are documents that prove the influence of mysterious groups in the formation of the Church and in the conduct of important historical events. Some religious orders, such as the Templars, the Jesuits, and even organizations with more enigmatic practices, may have left records that were never made public. What if these documents proved that the history of the Church was shaped by outside influences? What kind of truths could be revealed? Faced with so many mysteries and so many unanswered questions, one thing is certain: the Vatican's secret library holds secrets that could change human history forever. But will these documents ever be revealed to the public? Or will they remain locked away, hidden in the shadows, protected by those who don't want the truth to come out? What if I told you that, in addition to the forbidden Gospels and hidden texts, the Vatican could be hiding proof that we are not alone in the universe? For centuries, there have been rumors that the Catholic Church holds privileged information about contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations, records that were carefully archived and never shared with the public. And it's not difficult to understand why. If an official Vatican document confirmed that there is life beyond Earth, how this would affect the faith of billions of people around the world. How would humanity react to learning that our existence may not be the only one in the cosmos? This theory is strengthened when we analyze the Vatican's interest in astronomy. Few people know, but the Church has one of the largest and most advanced astronomical observatories in the world, located in Arizona, in the United States. Why would an institution that has studied only theological issues for centuries have so much interest in space? Could they be monitoring something they cannot reveal? Many believe that within the Vatican's secret archives, there are detailed accounts of sightings of unidentified objects, encounters with beings from other worlds, and even ancient manuscripts describing contacts with unknown entities. But what would happen if one of these documents were leaked? Some researchers claim that there are hidden texts describing the interaction of ancient civilizations with celestial beings, something that may have been interpreted as divine appearances. If this is true, could the angels described in the Bible actually be visitors from other worlds? Some apocryphal texts talk about entities that descended from the heavens and shared forbidden knowledge with humanity. And interestingly, these stories are found not only in Christian records, but also in mythologies from diverse cultures around the world. Was it a coincidence or a truth that was hidden to maintain order? What if I told you that there was something even more controversial hidden inside the Vatican's secret library? There are persistent rumors that the Church has documents that prove that parts of the Bible have been modified over the centuries. It is no secret that, throughout history, various councils and religious leaders have made decisions about which texts would be included in the Holy Scriptures and which should be banned. But what exactly has changed? Could there have been passages that would completely change the way we understand the Christian faith? A much debated theory among historians and theologians is the possibility that the true role of some biblical figures was distorted to suit the interests of the Church at the time. We have already talked about the Lost Gospel of Judas, which presents a completely different view of Christ's betrayal. But are there other texts that reveal new perspectives on Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and the apostles? What if there was evidence that certain teachings were softened or rewritten to maintain control of the narrative? Some documents supposedly hidden in the Vatican also talk about forbidden prophecies, detailed predictions about future events that were never released to the public. Among these records would be the true prophecy about the end of the world. The Church has always treated apocalyptic themes with caution, but there are indications that within the secret archives, there are texts that describe the arrival of the Antichrist and the collapse of humanity in a much more detailed way than we know. And here a doubt arises. Why would the Church keep this information confidential? Some believe that the release of these prophecies could cause global chaos, panic, and collapse in the faith of millions. But don't we have the right to know what might be coming? The Vatican has already admitted the existence of 3 secrets of Fatima, messages passed on by the Virgin Mary to 3 children in Portugal. 2 of these messages were revealed, but the 3rd was kept secret for decades. When it finally came to light, many people believed that the text had been edited and that the actual prophecy still remained hidden. What was there that couldn't be revealed? The connection between the Vatican and the mysteries of the end times becomes even stronger when we analyze the Church's interest in themes such as Antichrist and the second coming of Christ. Several popes throughout history have mentioned the possibility that we are already living in the last times, but none of them went into detail about the information the Church actually holds on this subject. Some scholars believe that there is a lost document, kept in absolute secrecy, that describes specific events that will mark the beginning of the apocalypse. Does this document exist? And if so, why wasn't it publicized? The secrets that the Vatican keeps may be much greater than we imagine. If there is proof of contacts with extraterrestrial beings, modifications to the Bible, and hidden prophecies about the end of the world, what else could be hidden inside these shelves? What is the limit of the information that has been denied to us? Now I want to hear from you. What do you believe is locked inside the Vatican's secret library? Comment below. The truth needs to be revealed. If you believe there is something being kept hidden from humanity. Many have tried to uncover the secrets hidden within the Vatican, but few have managed to emerge unscathed from this search for truth. What we are about to explore now involves real cases of people who dared to challenge the walls of secrecy of Vatican's secret library and suffered the consequences. Have you ever heard of historians, journalists, and even religious people who tried to access these prohibited documents and simply disappeared or were silenced? We are not talking about empty theories, but rather about documented events that have been mysteriously hushed up over the years. What did these people discover that made them a threat? Why does the Vatican restrict access to certain texts to only a select group of individuals? One of the best-known cases involves an Italian historian who, in the 1970s, tried to access documents about the Council of Nicaea, held in 325 AD, where many of the dogmas of the Christian faith were established. He claimed that there were evidence that Bible passages have been changed or removed to meet the political interests of the time. This historian disappeared before completing his research, and to this day no one knows exactly what happened to him. His family received conflicting reports, and some say he was last seen leaving the Vatican, visibly shaken and scared. Coincidence? Or did he find something he shouldn't have? And it was not an isolated case. Other researchers say they were threatened or forced to stop their investigations as soon as they started getting too close to the truth. A British journalist, who was trying to investigate files on the Vatican's links with political regimes of the 20th century, reported receiving anonymous calls warning him to abandon his investigation. Days later, he suffered a suspicious accident that almost took his life? Were they mere coincidences or patterns of silencing? What really happens to those who try to bring these secrets to light? Another story that draws attention is that of a former member of the church who claims to have had access to a forbidden manuscript that detailed prophecies about the end times. According to him, this document contained information that was never revealed to the public, describing catastrophic events that supposedly already underway. Shortly after making these allegations, this person completely disappeared from public life. His acquaintances say he preferred anonymity. But why would someone who discovered something so shocking choose to disappear without a trace? Or was it silenced to prevent this information from leaking? Restricting access to the Vatican's secret library also raises a series of questions. For those who don't know, not just anyone can enter this hidden file. Only researchers authorized by the Holy See, who go through a rigorous approval process, can request access to some documents, and even then, not at all. Why this strict selection? What justifies such secrecy? There are records that can only be consulted with direct permission from the Pope, which means there is something in there that may not, in any way, be disclosed to the public. And the strangest thing is that some people who had the chance to enter these archives reported seeing things that could never be revealed. A former Vatican employee who briefly worked in library administration said there are entire sections of the archive that do not appear in official records. Locked rooms, books that are not catalogued, and documents that appear simply not exist to the outside world. Does this mean that there is an even greater level of secrecy within the Vatican's own secrecy? And if these stories weren't scary enough, there are reports from religious people who say they were prohibited from talking about certain things they saw within the church. Priests and bishops who, for unknown reasons, abandoned clerical life and completely moved away from the institution, often without explanation. What did they see? What was revealed to them that made them make such drastic decisions? Some believe that these men of faith had access to information that would call into question everything the Church teaches. Now, if the Vatican's secret library only contains historical and religious documents, why is there such absolute control over who can see them? Why were so many who tried to expose certain secrets threatened, persecuted, or simply disappeared? If there is nothing to hide, why this insistence on keeping these files under lock and key? Are there texts that prove manipulations in religious history, evidence of extraterrestrial contacts, hidden prophecies, or even records that show much more advanced knowledge than what has been disclosed to humanity? The Vatican has always been surrounded by a veil of mystery, and each time new information about its secret library comes to light, more questions arise than answers. Now, unlike theories involving disappearances and conspiracies, there are facts that have already been confirmed by the Church itself, and that reinforce the idea that there are secrets kept that can completely change our understanding of history. What you are about to discover now is not mere speculation, it is official data, admitted by sources linked to the Vatican itself. But why have most people never heard of it? Is the truth being carefully diluted so that it remains inaccessible to the general public? One of the first confirmed facts is that the Vatican secret library contains thousands of classified documents, many of them never revealed to the world. We're talking about historical archives that go back centuries, with information that could rewrite history as we know it. Among these documents, there are detailed records about biblical events, correspondence between popes and political leaders, and even texts that address topics that were deliberately erased from church history. To get an idea of the grandeur of this collection, if someone decided to walk through all the corridors of the library, it would take days just to walk through the archives, not counting the time needed to analyze each document. And of course, not all shelves are accessible. Many of them are locked and protected, and can only be accessed by an extremely select group of people. But if that wasn't already intriguing enough, there's something even more alarming. The Church has publicly admitted that there are books that have been removed from the Bible throughout history. Yes, that's a fact. During the first centuries of Christianity, several councils decided which texts would be considered sacred and which should be excluded. Many of the Gospels that presented alternative views about Jesus and his disciples were left out. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example, presents a completely different perspective on the role of women within the Christian faith. The Gospel of Thomas contains teachings of Jesus that were considered very advanced for the time, and therefore they were suppressed. But the question remains, why were these texts removed? What is in them that could not be revealed to the public? Could it be that if these books had been included in the Bible as we know it today, the structure of the church would have been different? And it doesn't stop there. Inside the Vatican's secret archives, there are letters between popes and governments throughout history that have never been revealed. This means that there are records of political negotiations, secret alliances, and even conspiracies between the church and the most powerful rulers in the world. For centuries, the Vatican has played a key role in decisions that have shaped the course of humanity. Wars were started, empires fell, and entire societies were manipulated based on the decisions made by those in control of these secrets. But if these letters were released, would the world see the church in the same way? What kind of explosive information could be hidden in these documents? Are there records of historical events that have been distorted, erased, or rewritten to favor certain narratives? Now think about the following. If the church has already admitted that there are books removed from the Bible, that there are hidden documents, and that some information has been kept confidential, what else could be being hidden? If these archives were open to the public, would we find evidence of historical manipulations? Evidence that faith was used as a tool of control? Or even secrets that could challenge everything we know about spirituality and the purpose of humanity? Many scholars believe that there are, within these shelves, records that tell about the true origin of humanity, manuscripts that may contain accounts of vanished civilizations, and even descriptions of supernatural events that were kept secret. There are reports of priests and scholars who had access to certain documents and who, upon leaving there, completely changed their view of faith and the history of the church itself. Some decided to move away from religious life, while others simply chose never to talk about what they saw again. But what could be so impactful that it would make someone question everything they believed in? And we cannot forget that the Vatican has one of the strictest security structures in the world. The library is protected by trained guards, cutting-edge technology, and security measures worthy of military bases. But why? If everything that is stored there were just historical and religious material, why take all this care to prevent access? Some believe that there's something much deeper hidden within these walls, something that, it was revealed, could destabilize not just the church, but all of society as we know it. If everything that was kept secret by the Vatican came to light, how would the world react? This is the big question that many ask themselves when analyzing why the Vatican's secret library remains inaccessible to the vast majority of people. They are 85 kilometers of archives, thousands of documents, historical records, prohibited texts, and correspondence that never came to light. But why? If the church really is a pillar of faith and truth, why hide certain information? The answer may lie in fear of destabilizing people's faith, already maintenance of the power of the church throughout history, and perhaps most alarmingly, in protection against information that could completely change our view of spirituality and the history of humanity itself. The church has always played a fundamental role in directing beliefs and shaping morality over the centuries. Many believe that if certain documents were released, the structure of the Christian faith could collapse. Imagine if an ancient manuscript proved that certain events described in the Bible did not happen the way we know it, or that certain biblical figures had their stories changed over time. What would this mean for the billions of believers around the world? The impact would be devastating. Many people base their lives and decisions on religious dogmas, and the revelation that part of this story was manipulated could generate an unprecedented level of uncertainty. And here comes the second reason for this absolute secrecy: the maintenance of the power of the church throughout history. Since the beginnings of Christianity, the church has consolidated itself as one of the most influential institutions on the planet, playing not only a spiritual role, but also a political one. Kings, emperors, and world leaders sought the Vatican's support to legitimize their governments, and over the centuries, many agreements were made behind the scenes. These confidential documents could reveal how much the church was involved in negotiations, manipulations, and even events that drastically changed the course of humanity. We cannot forget that the Vatican, despite being a religious center, it is also a sovereign state, with its own laws and its own system of governance, and therefore, certain records can never come to light, as they could compromise centuries of influence and authority. But the most intriguing point of all is the reason to protect information that could completely change our view of spirituality and history. If there is something hidden inside the Vatican's secret library, something that cannot be revealed in any way, perhaps it is because we are not ready to know this truth. Some theories suggest that there are documents that talk about advanced ancient civilizations who mastered knowledge that is still considered impossible at the time. Did the ancients already have contact with forces beyond our understanding? Are there records that prove that certain technological advances that we believe to be modern already existed thousands of years ago? Furthermore, many speculate that within these files there are evidence of contacts with beings from other worlds. The Church has always had a very discreet stance on the existence of extraterrestrial life, but the fact that the Vatican has one of the most advanced astronomical observatories in the world raises many doubts. If the Church has always preached that God created only humanity, why is there so much interest in the universe? Could it be that there are documents within the library that describe encounters, sightings, or even interactions between religious leaders and unknown entities? If this information were disclosed, would people's faith withstand the impact of knowing we are not alone in the cosmos? And if we talk about occult prophecies and predictions, we enter even darker terrain. There are secret records within the Vatican that, according to some scholars, describe in detail events that have yet to happen. Some believe that within these archives there are texts that speak about the end times, the coming of the Antichrist, and a period of great tribulation. The third secret of Fatima itself was kept secret for decades, and to this day there are theories that the version released to the public is not the complete one. Does the Church know something about the future that we don't? All of this leads us to a single thought. What is really being hidden? If the Church keeps certain documents under lock and key, it's because there's something too big to share with the world. We are not just talking about historical records or simple religious writings, but information that could completely change our perception of the history of humanity, spirituality, and the role of the Church in the modern world. And if, from one moment to the next, the Vatican's best-kept secrets were revealed to the world, what would happen if everyone had access to hidden documents, secret letters between popes and world leaders, forbidden texts that were excluded from the Bible, and prophecies that were kept from public knowledge? The impact would simply be devastating. Religions could be questioned, beliefs could crumble, and the way we view spirituality would change forever. The Church has always played a central role in shaping societies, influencing not only people's faith, but also politics, science, and culture. If it were proven that certain teachings have changed over the centuries, or that historical events were manipulated to benefit a small group of people, this could undermine the credibility of institutions that have existed for millennia. The faith of millions could be called into doubt, leading to an unprecedented spiritual crisis. Many would ask, if we were deceived about certain aspects of the story, what else could have been hidden? But the impact would not just stop at religion. If some secret Vatican documents come to light, they could bring new truths about the origin of humanity. There are theories that claim that, within the hidden archives, there are detailed records about civilizations that existed before what we know as official history. This means our timeline could be incomplete or even wrong. We could discover that highly advanced societies already existed before the people we consider the first great civilizations, and that certain knowledge that we believe to be modern were already dominated by ancestral peoples. Furthermore, if there is documents proving the existence of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations, our entire perception of life, creation, and the universe would change forever. Many religions base their beliefs on the idea that humanity is the supreme and unique creation, made in the image and likeness of God. But what if we discovered that aren't we the only intelligent beings in the universe? What would religious interpretations look like in the face of this revelation? Could it be that the Church already knows about this and simply chose to keep this truth hidden to avoid chaos? Another issue that could arise is the revelation of sacred texts that were deliberately removed from the Bible. Imagine if we discovered that certain passages were omitted to shape a specific narrative that benefited certain groups and maintained control over people's faith. How would the faithful react to learning that part of the history they have always believed in has actually been edited over the centuries? This could lead to a collapse in religious confidence and a complete overhaul of existing doctrines. But perhaps the most profound effect of this revelation was the way people see their own spirituality. Many rely on religion to give meaning to their lives, find purpose, and seek comfort in difficult times. If certain secrets were exposed, it could generate a movement of deep questioning about the true essence of faith. Some people could lose belief completely, while others could develop new ways of connecting with the divine, based on knowledge that has been kept hidden until today. Now imagine how religious leaders would react to this global crisis. Would the church try to minimize the damage? Would you deny the revelations? Or, for the first time in history, would he admit that the truth was hidden to protect the power structure? Many believe that the Vatican already has strategies in place to deal with a possible revelation of confidential information. But is this moment closer than we think? If the Vatican's secret archives were completely open to the public, what unexpected truths could emerge? Is there a document capable of radically changing the way we understand the history of humanity? We could discover something that would completely overturn established religious beliefs. Or has everything we know so far been carefully selected to maintain a certain control over people's faith? These questions lead to even deeper questions, and some of them can be extremely uncomfortable for those who have always believed in the official version of events. One of humanity's biggest doubts is about the real existence of Jesus Christ. For billions of believers around the world, Jesus is the central figure of the Christian faith. But is there concrete evidence about its existence that has never been revealed? The Church claims that there are historical records that confirm its passage on earth. But these documents are accessible only to an extremely limited number of scholars. What exactly do these texts say? Could they present a different version of the Gospels we know? And if there were physical evidence, such as letters written by Jesus, or even objects that belonged to him, and were hidden to avoid questions about his real identity? Some theories suggest that within the Vatican's secret archives there are detailed accounts of Jesus' lineage, which would bring information completely different from what we were taught. Are there records that indicate he had descendants? That his role in the story was misconstrued? If these documents come to light, how would it impact people's beliefs? Perhaps the answer to these questions is under lock and key in one of the most restricted rooms in the Vatican. But that's not the only mystery that could be hidden inside the secret library. There are persistent rumors that the Church has information about the existence of extraterrestrial life. And the question remains, why is the Vatican so interested in astronomy? Few people know, but the Church operates one of the most advanced astronomical observatories in the world, located in the state of Arizona, in the United States. What exactly are they looking for? Is there some knowledge about alien civilizations that has been kept secret for centuries? Many theorists believe that documents within the Vatican describe encounters with non-human entities throughout history, and that these records were interpreted differently to fit within the religious narrative of the time. What if the angels described in the Bible were, in fact, beings from another world? What if some of the great apparitions and miracles witnessed by multitudes throughout history were contacts with higher intelligences? Accounts of saints, popes, and priests describe encounters with luminous beings, carriers of advanced knowledge and capable of inexplicable feats. Does the Vatican have proof that these events were not merely spiritual, but rather interactions with something much larger than we imagine? Now, if we think about the origin of humanity, an even more disturbing question arises. Are there books inside the Vatican that talk about the true nature of humanity? For years, science and religion have been on opposite sides when it comes to the creation of humanity. But what if the answer to that question is already locked away within the secret archives? Some scholars believe that there are documents that describe versions of human creation that were kept hidden, as they would reveal truths that could directly conflict with established doctrines. If ancient texts, now prohibited, talk about divine beings teaching humanity, transmitting knowledge and guiding civilizations, does the Vatican have records that connect these stories to something much bigger? we could discover that the origin of humanity is much more complex than the narrative that has been given to us so far. And if the Church has this information, why would it choose to hide it, rather than share it with the world? What is it about these texts that could be so disturbing? Now, think about the impact all of this would have. If tomorrow it were proven that Jesus had a completely different role than we believe, which we are not alone in the universe, and that the origin of humanity is much more mysterious and complex, how would people react? Would faith resist this avalanche of revelations? Or would we see the collapse of the beliefs that have guided humanity for centuries? And you, what do you think is hidden inside the Vatican secret library? Comment below. The truth needs to be revealed, and share your opinion. If you've made it this far, already leave a like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because in the next video, we will continue this investigation and reveal even more surprising information about the hidden mysteries of the Vatican. If there's one thing the Vatican has learned over the centuries, it's how to keep secrets. The Vatican Secret Library, it is not just a repository of old books, is a true vault of information that could rewrite the history of humanity. If we were allowed into these archives and had full access to their most sensitive documents, what would we actually find? And why do these records remain hidden, even in the information age? The answers may be far beyond what we imagine. We know that the Catholic Church played a central role in building society as we know it today. But could it be that this influence was only spiritual? For centuries, the Vatican maintained close relationships with kings, emperors, governments, and even secret societies, always acting as a discreet but extremely influential center of power. Rumor has it that within the secret library's hidden documents are detailed records of negotiations made between popes and rulers, confidential agreements, and even strategies to shape the course of history for the benefit of the Church. If these files were revealed, would we discover that many historical events did not happen exactly as we have been taught? But beyond political issues, there is another even greater mystery. What does the Vatican really know about the true nature of humanity and the secrets of spirituality? Over the years, several texts have been removed from the Bible, and many of them describe events and figures that could completely change our perception of faith. Some of these texts talk about Jesus Christ in a completely different way than we know, suggesting that his story may have been adapted to fit a more convenient narrative. Other forbidden Gospels, such as Gospel of Thomas or the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, could contain information so impactful that the Church chose to keep them away from public knowledge. What if these texts also contained secrets about advanced spiritual practices, which were hidden so that humanity would not have access to knowledge that could challenge the structure of the Church? Many ancient civilizations talked about the direct connection between the human being and the divine without the need for intermediaries. Does the Vatican hide documents that would they prove that we have always had the power to connect with superior forces without needing religious institutions? And what can we say about the mystery of extraterrestrial contacts? The Catholic Church has always avoided entering into this debate publicly, but it is undeniable that the Vatican has a great interest in space and the unknown. As we have already mentioned, the Church itself maintains one of the most advanced astronomical observatories in the world. But is this just a coincidence? Some believe there are secret documents within the Vatican that talk about encounters with beings from other worlds, and that this information was deliberately suppressed to prevent humanity from questioning its place in the universe. History is full of accounts of religious figures who claim to have had visions of celestial entities, beings that shone like the sun and transmitted messages of wisdom. The interpretation has always been that these visions were angels or divine manifestations. But what if these descriptions are actually ancient reports of encounters with extraterrestrial beings? If there was concrete proof within the Vatican's secret library that if the existence of intelligent life outside Earth was confirmed, would the Church be able to keep this secret for much longer? And beyond religious and cosmic questions, there is still a third mystery that few dare to address: the secrets of humanity itself. Are there documents within the Vatican that prove that isn't our origin exactly as we were taught? Many ancient cultures, from the Sumerians to the Egyptians, talk about beings who came from the heavens and taught advanced knowledge to humanity. But what if this is more than just a legend? Do the church's secret archives contain records that, do you link these reports to something real? If this information became public, people might start to question everything they believed in during their lives. Religions could collapse, science could be forced to rewrite certain chapters of history, and society itself could enter into crisis. And perhaps that is exactly why these documents remain hidden. Is humanity really ready for these revelations? Or does the Vatican believe that absolute secrecy is still the best way to preserve order? I know you felt the voice of God touching your heart while watching this video. Don't ignore this call. This means you are on the right path to discover the truth and delve even deeper into the mysteries that the Church has never revealed to the world. Then, subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell, because together we will continue this journey in search of hidden knowledge that can transform everything we believe. I know you made it to the end of this video. I want to know that you are with me in this investigation. Comment below, "I'm ready for the truth," to show that you are part of this select group of people who have the courage to question and seek answers. And of course, if this message made sense to you, leave your like right now, because this helps this content reach more people who also need to hear this truth. And now, don't stop here. The next video is already appearing on your screen, and in it we will continue this investigation with new revelations that are even more impactful. Click now and discover what else is being hidden from the world.